What we know at the moment are a number of different locations that the Pakistani military are saying have been hit. Some are in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, and some are in Pakistan proper. That represents, to the Pakistani military mindset, a massive escalation, because it strikes not just in Kashmir region, but in Pakistan proper.
One of the things that is, I think, clear, if, as you said, that this is true, there is some significant issue with the way the Indians planned these airstrikes against Pakistani targets. One of the factors here is, what kind of electronic countermeasures were they using on the aircraft, and were those aircraft designed to deal with the type of air defense systems that the Pakistanis use. They have a lot of Chinese systems. One of them is known as the HQ-9, that is basically a medium-range capable system, and that system could potentially shoot down aircraft like the French Rafale, which possibly was 3 of which were possibly lost in this case. So that's one factor. The other thing dealing with this is that their intelligence preparation for this campaign may have been lacking. Again, if this is borne out, it seems as if they didn't really project what kind of threat rings they would be dealing with. In other words, the range of the Pakistani systems, where the Pakistani systems were located, and how the Pakistanis would employ them. So those are the kinds of things that might have resulted in something like this. And of course, we have to see if that is in fact the case.
And Colonel, while we continue to get these damage assessments, based on what you do know, I mean, do you think these two countries are likely headed towards a full-scale, full-blown conflict?
Well, they're kind of in a fork in the road at this point, MJ. And so, yes, it is possible that they could go into a full-blown conflict. I don't think it will be a nuclear conflict unless Pakistan is threatened, is existentially threatened, or feels existentially threatened. But I don't think it'll go that far. The other part of that fork in the road would be that there is de-escalation, and that countries such as the United States and possibly China and even Iran might get involved and be able to talk both sides down from the precipice. But it is a very dangerous situation, and we should treat it as such.
And I wanted to ask you, too, about General Asim Munir, Pakistan's army chief. As we consider what Pakistan may or may not do in the coming days, what should we know about him, and why is he clearly a key person to be watching right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. In Pakistan, it's the army that controls basically the political life of the country. And General Munir follows a long line of military leaders who have basically called shots in Pakistani politics for a very long time. And given all of that, we also have to know that General Munir is very much in the Islamic fold, and he looks at these kinds of conflicts through that lens. So he is basically here to defend Pakistan as he sees it, but he is also very much in the mold of someone who is basically looking at this as a Pakistani national issue, and he believes that he is defending the honor of his country. Now, having said that, he is, of course, running against a very strong Indian leadership that is seeing it from the opposite side, very much in the Hindu nationalist point. And that, of course, is a recipe for potential conflict that is now apparently boiled over, at least for the moment.
Yeah, boiled over, at least for the moment. What do you think an off-ramp, if there is one, looks like at the moment? What do the two sides have to do for the situation to really de-escalate?
Well, one of the things that they'll have to do is have military-to-military contacts, and those appear to have broken down in the run-up to this. And that is something that is not a strong suit for either the Pakistanis or the Indians. So that would be one way to do it. The other part of the off-ramp would be for the Pakistanis to take what the Indians say at face value, and for the Indians not to escalate the fight when it comes to other targets, and basically to stop at the targets that they've hit right now. So those would be several ways in which we could potentially see an off-ramp for both India and Pakistan in this particular case.
Colonel Cedric Layton, thank you so much.
You bet, MJ.
One of the world's most dangerous flashpoints is erupting. It involves neighboring countries that are both armed with nuclear weapons. India launching a missile attack on Pakistan, a move that Pakistan is labeling an act of war. Now, India says that military operation was targeting what it calls, quote, terrorist infrastructure, as Pakistan is saying the attack largely harmed civilians. The world has been watching this region incredibly closely after things began to flare up 2 weeks ago when dozens of people, mostly tourists, were killed in what India described as a terror attack, blaming Pakistan for backing the gunmen. That is something that Islamabad has denied, and in the meantime, what we are learning tonight is Pakistan is telling CNN officials there that its forces have shot down 5 Indian Air Force aircraft and a drone in response to the missile attack. Now, the countries have fought several wars over Kashmir. What you're looking at here, it is an area of disputed territory between the two countries, an area that both nations claim as their own. At the White House, as soon as we heard about this attack, President Trump offered this reaction to the news.
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
I want to go straight to my source on the ground tonight. CNN's Nick Robertson is joining us live from Islamabad. And Nick, it's great to have you. What is the latest that you're hearing? As I know daylight is starting to break, they're starting to be able to see more after this attack happened. What are you learning?
Yeah, beginning to get more of an assessment on the ground, which is what officials tell us they're doing. 8 people killed, 35 injured among the dead, a 3-year-old girl, a 16-year-old girl, and an 18-year-old boy. Women also among the casualties. This is the deepest strike that India has made into Pakistan in more than 50 years, since the two countries fought a large war back in 1971. The Pakistani military say that it is civilians that have been hit. They say mosques have been hit. And for this reason, that when I was speaking with a Pakistani security source earlier this evening, he said that the fact that India had hit deep inside Pakistan proper, as well as inside Pakistan-administered Kashmir, the fact that women and children were casualties, that religious places had been hit, meant that there was more pressure on the Pakistani government and military to respond more forcefully. Our cameraman here, Javed, lives on the outskirts of Islamabad. About 5 hours ago, his house shook when the explosions happened not far from where he lives. The explosions in the capital of Kashmir, Muzaffarabad, local CNN journalist there told us that they shook the whole town, that people came out on the streets, were running in panic, didn't know what to do. There is a power outage there at the moment.